before we go into anything, I want to thank you for what you've done for me, and giving me a skill set and a knowledge, or showing me tools and bringing out a skill set that I knew I had, but I needed a little direction. So you've really helped me transform my business, and I owe a lot of my success to you. I'm going to take myself back to before I met Donnie, before I got involved in the program, and had no idea what it is that you were going to suggest to me. I just took a leap of faith and said, hey, you know what? Need to get on board with some of the new techniques that are out there in social media, and try something new. Honestly, that was really kind of the way I went about it.
Right.
And really one of the first things I learned, and maybe it was the most important thing I learned, is the visibility and the idea of being relevant. So you have a business called The Relevant Recruiter. You have a show called The Relevant Recruiter. That word relevant has so much power. How do you become relevant in your industry? How do you become noticed? How do you become recognizable? Well, if you show that you're an expert in your space, if you show and create value-based content, so you're not just throwing content out, but you're providing valuable information to a community, whatever your community might be, in whatever industry you're in, you're going to start getting noticed. You're going to start getting recognized. But what's interesting is, just like I was talking about the influence, which is based on emotion, this is the same thing.
Right.
By people seeing me as an expert in my space, seeing that I'm providing them with value. And by the way, I don't charge for anything. Everything I do online, articles, videos, my podcast, I don't charge for anything. That's just free advice for people. I didn't understand that at all. I didn't understand it. And when I first started with Donnie, and I first started with you, I remember you telling me, stop overthinking it. Stop overthinking it. Just do it. Here's what I want you to do. And the one thing that I respect and appreciate about you, and back then it was a little hard, but you really kind of forced me to come out of my comfort zone and do things that I've never done before. Obviously had the capability to do it.
Right.
But that's where the magic happens, is when you come out of your comfort zone and you start breaking habits of not doing. And look, look, just like anything else, when we first started together, I was producing content. I wasn't really good at it. I'm proud of the stuff I did. It took a while. It's like anything else.
Yep.
But
well, I think
it's bringing you to another level of relevancy in your space.
Yes. I mean, what was your first motivation to create the podcast? Like, what was the goal with it?
You know, it's funny. It came from you. I just want to tell everybody, you and I were talking and you said, you need to have a podcast. I'm like, yeah, really? You're like, yeah, it's not that hard. I'll help you. I'll help you figure it out, help you set it up. You need to have a podcast. And you told me the reason. You said, the reason you need to have a podcast is because you're in a great niche, you're an expert in your space, and you need to communicate that. And you're a great communicator. And you really entrusted this confidence. To date, I have 125,000 downloads and listeners in over 60 countries. As a matter of fact, today I got my stats, and I'm ranked number 6 in Italy right now in the careers category. And I've been in the podcast has been in the top 10 in the US in careers. So it's one thing to consistently rank. The podcast is ranked in the top 2% globally in the careers category. 90% of what I'm trying to do is just on the business development side, marketing side, and really bringing in, new clients. In that respect, the exposure has been tremendous as far as the way the phone rings, the amount of solicitations, but requests that I get to work with new companies. So I know you had said to me before we did this podcast, hey, what do you think about the topic having something to do with not having to cold call anymore? I'm like, yeah, because it's true. I don't really do a lot of cold calls. Everything I do is warm now. Even if I'm soliciting business, most of what I'm doing is I'm just going to people that I know and have relationships with,
Right.
in any way, shape, or form. So that's one piece of it. The other piece of it is, I one of my recruiters had sent me a candidate. They said, "Hey, listen, I know you're working on this job. You have a good relationship with the hiring manager. This person's a great fit. They're not getting back to me. Why don't you try them out, give them a call, and see if they respond? Send them an email." Sent this guy a message on LinkedIn. He gets right back to me. "Would love to talk to you, Tom." Now, we've been trying to recruit this guy
Right.
for like 2 weeks. So I get the guy on the phone and I'm like, "Hey, thanks for picking up, have this job I want to talk to you about." And then we're chatting and finally I said, just out of curiosity, I said, "We've been trying to get in touch with you for a while." And he said, "To be honest with you, Tom," he's like, "I'm really not in the market." He goes, "But when you reached out, I was like, holy shit, Tom Caravela is reaching out to me." He goes, "I'm a big fan of your podcast." He goes, "I just wanted to talk to you." Here's the crazy thing. The guy just had a final interview. He's probably going to get an offer this week. So, and I'm not making this up. Like these are real results.
Right.
I went to a conference recently, and I know you're going to bring this up, so I'll just cut to the chase.
Yep, cut to the chase, man. Let's do it.
I went to a conference recently, and people just were coming up to me left and right because they're fans of the podcast. They were excited to get a chance to meet the person that they heard their voice, hear their voice all the time, or maybe see on YouTube. And I would do the same thing if I ran into Joe Rogan or
Right.
Andy Frisella. Like I would do the same thing. I would be a little starstruck and be like, "Hey man, I feel like I know you." And that's what people were saying. Like, "I feel like I know you."
Did you ever foresee how a podcast was then going to generate as much revenue and notoriety for your business that it has in the recruiting space?
No, I looked at it as a side project. I looked at it as something that I would enjoy doing. I mean, my kids are grown. I don't play golf. I don't
Right.
really have any hobbies. I just work my ass off. I mean, I'm really like tell people I'm not good at golf, but I'm good at happy hour. That's it. Like, you want to hang out with me? Yeah, I'll
Get
drink
you on a
beer.
scramble team and you'll contribute.
That's it, man. That's me. But I work really hard, and this was something that I knew was going to supplement my business in some way, and I knew it was something that I was going to enjoy because I really do love listening to podcasts. And like I said, I always wanted to have some type of avenue like this. You said to me, you're like, companies aren't just marketing these days. They're creating media departments, so to speak. Donnie, I don't want to go any further without saying thank you, man. I appreciate what you've done for me. I appreciate what you've done for my business, and I appreciate your friendship. And I'm so grateful that I responded to the 675th message or email or whatever that I saw come across and started this journey with you.